Ever wonder what hotel employees really talk about after their shifts? Not the usual complaints. Not the guests who yell about towels or demand free breakfast. I'm talking about the stories whispered in staff-only hallways. The ones even managers pretend not to know. Tonight, we're diving into one of those stories. A story that still sends chills through the employees of the Crescent Hill Hotel. A story they call the Phantom Phone Calls. The Crescent Hill wasn't a flashy place, a little old, a little outdated. The kind of hotel where the wallpaper always feels one layer away from peeling, but somehow it still attracts just enough guests to stay alive. Most nights were quiet, peaceful even, but every so often, the place reminded the staff why no one, not a single person, wanted to work the night shift. The calls started on a Wednesday. Evan, the night auditor, remembers the exact time, 2:13 a.m. He was halfway through his paperwork when the switchboard lit up with an incoming call. Room 712. Evan checked the guest log. Room 712 was vacant, unoccupied. No active keycards, no arrival scheduled. And yet, the phone kept ringing. He hesitated, then answered. Front desk, how can I assist you? Silence. He could hear something, though. A faint static, and underneath it, what sounded like someone breathing, slow and steady, like they were only inches from the receiver. Hello? He repeated, uneasy. The breathing stopped. Then, the line disconnected. Evan shook it off. Bad wiring, he assumed. The place was old. But just as he settled back into his work, ring. Same room. Room 712. This time, he didn't answer. He let it ring out. But the moment it stopped, another line lit up. Room 527, also vacant. Then 614, then 305. 3 calls. 4 calls. All from empty rooms. All in the span of 2 minutes. Evan finally picked up the last one, his voice a little unsteady. Hello? A whisper slid through the static. Wrong room. Evan froze. His throat tightened. Before he could respond, the whisper came again, sharper this time, like someone speaking directly into his ear. Wrong room. Then the line went dead. Evan barely got through the night. The next morning, he told his manager, but she dismissed it immediately. Old phone system. Happens sometimes, she said, walking away before he could finish. But that night, the calls came again, and the night after. That every night. Only at 2:13 a.m., as if something in the hotel followed a schedule older than the building itself. It got weirder. Sometimes, Evan answered a call and heard nothing but elevator chimes. Other times, he heard muffled footsteps, as though the caller was pacing in a small room. But on one particularly heavy night, the phantom calls changed. They didn't come from empty rooms. They came to them at 2:13 a.m. Evan watched the system confusedly as the switchboard indicated an active outgoing call. A call that appeared to originate from the hotel's basement maintenance line. He blinked. The basement phone had been removed more than 10 years ago. He'd seen the empty wall mount himself, yet here it was, calling room 712. He hesitated before answering. When he picked up, he didn't hear static. He didn't hear breathing. He heard a woman crying. soft, broken, muffled, like she was covering her mouth with her hand. "Ma'am? Ma'am, are you all right?" No response. Just sobbing. Evan swallowed, heart racing. "Where are you? I can send someone to help." Silence. Then, "He won't let me leave." Evan's blood turned cold. Who won't let you leave?" he asked, voice shaking. There was a wet, rustling sound, like the phone was being dragged across fabric. A heavy thump, a choked sob. "Wrong room." The same whisper from earlier. But this time, it wasn't directed at Evan. One housekeeper swore she heard a man humming a tune on the other end. Something old, off-key, like a lullaby, sung through gritted teeth. But the scariest part, sometimes the calls came from rooms that didn't exist. Extensions that the hotel wasn't wired for. Rooms beyond the top floor. Rooms below the basement. Rooms that were never built. The staff eventually noticed a pattern. Every call, no matter the voice, the noises, or the message, always ended the same way. Wrong room. No one knows what that means. Some employees think it's a warning. Someone or something searching, but always calling the wrong place. Others think it's a threat, but Evan has his own theory. He believes the calls aren't random at all. He thinks whoever, or whatever, is calling is trying to find someone, and each wrong number brings it one step closer. Today, the Crescent Hill still stands, still aging, still creaking, still taking in new guests. But night staff, they don't stay long. Every time the clock hits 2:13 a.m., they tense up, waiting. Because the phones still ring, always on time, always from the wrong room. And one night, sooner or later, they worry the caller might finally dial the right one.
Some mysteries feel manufactured, exaggerated by rumor, shaped by the internet. But then there are cases like this one, raw, documented, and terrifyingly real. Cases where you can watch the final moments unfold on surveillance footage and still have no idea why they happened or where the person went. This is the story of Lars Mittank, a young German tourist whose disappearance in Bulgaria remains one of the most chilling real-life mysteries of the last decade. Lars traveled to Bulgaria in the summer of 2014 with friends, a simple beach vacation along the Black Sea coast. Nothing unusual, nothing dangerous. For the first few days, everything was normal. Swimming, partying, late-night food runs. But on the night of July 6th, something shifted. Lars got into a small fight outside a bar. Just a scuffle with other tourists over a soccer team disagreement. Witnesses say it lasted seconds. Nothing serious, but Lars took a blow to the side of his head. A local doctor later confirmed he had a ruptured eardrum and should not fly. His friends had to return home, but he stayed behind alone to recover. That's when things started getting strange. Lars checked into a cheap hotel near the airport. His friends reported that he began texting them paranoid messages, claiming 4 men were following him. Hotel staff said he was pacing the hallways. A taxi driver recalled him whispering that someone was trying to drug him. Yet no one else ever saw these men he feared. In one particularly unsettling moment, he disappeared from his hotel room for the entire night, later saying he didn't feel safe there. When he did return, security cameras caught him standing outside the building, staring into the distance, as if waiting for someone, or running from someone only he could see. By the next morning, July 8th, Lars visited a doctor at Varna Airport, hoping to get clearance to fly home. According to the physician, he seemed calm at first, quiet, polite, cooperative. But then, during the exam, the doctor briefly stepped out of the room. When he returned, Lars appeared terrified. What exactly scared him has never been determined, but witnesses agree on one detail. He suddenly stood up, eyes wide, and whispered, "I don't want to die here." And then everything fell apart. Without warning, Lars sprinted out of the examination room. Airport surveillance cameras recorded the rest, footage now viewed millions of times online. He ran down the hall, past the sliding doors of the terminal, into the parking lot, and kept running. Across the pavement, over a barricade, into a field. He didn't stop. Not once. No one was chasing him. No one appeared behind him. That was the last confirmed sighting of him. Search teams combed the area for days. Drones, dogs, volunteers, local police. Everyone searched the fields, the roads, the nearby forests. Not a single trace. No clothing, no backpack, no footprints, no phone. It was as if the earth swallowed him whole. His family flew to Bulgaria immediately. His mother begged locals for information. His father walked miles of coastline, calling his son's name into the wind. There were reported sightings in various countries over the years, but none reliable. Most were dismissed quickly. The case grew colder, and the footage, Lars's frantic sprint from the airport, became harder to explain the more people analyzed it. Some believe he suffered a sudden psychotic break triggered by the injury or medication. Others believe he was attacked or threatened by the men he claimed were following him. And then there's the third theory, the one people whisper about online, that what chased him out of that airport wasn't something human at all. No matter the theory, the truth remains painfully simple. A 28-year-old man vanished in broad daylight, on camera, in a public place, surrounded by people, and left nothing behind except questions. His mother continues to search for him to this day, clinging to any possibility that he might still be alive. But the deeper you look into the details of his final hours, the harder it becomes to imagine a comforting explanation. Real horror isn't always found in shadows, or old buildings, or haunted places. Sometimes it lives in the gaps between facts, in footage you can replay 100 times and still never understand. The disappearance of Lars Mittank is one of those cases, a chilling reminder that some mysteries never fade. They only get darker. Some disappearances sound like urban legends, but this one is real, recorded, documented. A man calling for his life on a lonely Texas highway, only to vanish into the darkness without leaving a single trace. This is the case of Brandon Lawson, and to this day, nothing about that night makes sense. On August 8, 2013, just before midnight, 26-year-old Brandon left his home in San Angelo, Texas. After a tense argument with his longtime girlfriend, he drove off in his truck, heading into the remote back roads of Coke County. He called her shortly after, apologizing and saying he was coming back. But his voice sounded shaken, like something was wrong. Then, everything took a very dark turn. At 12:50 a.m., Brandon phoned his brother, Kyle, telling him he'd run out of gas along Highway 277, an empty stretch of road surrounded by brush, farmland, and miles of silence. But there was something else in his voice, something fearful. He claimed someone was chasing him. No one knows who they were, or if anyone was there at all. By the time Kyle reached the area, accompanied by a deputy, Brandon's truck was found perched awkwardly near a fence. It wasn't crashed, but it looked like it had been driven erratically, almost as if Brandon swerved to avoid something in the road. But Brandon himself was gone, and then the call came. At 12:54 a.m., Brandon dialed 911. His real voice, panicked, breathless, echoed through the line. The recording is public. Anyone can hear it, and that's what makes this case so terrifying. You can hear trucks passing in the background, wind whipping across the highway, and Brandon speaking in a frantic rush. "I ran into him," he says. "There's a guy chasing me into the woods. Please hurry." The dispatcher tries to understand him, but his words are broken, stumbling, scared. At one point, he says what sounds like, "I need the cops." Another moment, "I'm in the field." Some listeners claim he said there were men. Others hear one man. Some believe he mentioned someone bleeding. The audio is messy, warped by distance, fear, and wind. But the fear in his voice, that part is unmistakable. When the call abruptly ended, officers began searching the roadside. They found the truck. They found no signs of a struggle. They called out into the darkness. But the only things echoing back were insects, wind, and the occasional rumble of an 18-wheeler. No footprints. No clothing, no phone, nothing. And yet, Brandon was still making calls. He rang his brother several times, saying he could see the flashing police lights, but was afraid to come out. He claimed he was right here. Kyle begged him to reveal his location. But every time Brandon tried to respond, the call dropped, or his voice cut in and out, distorted by distance and panic. At one point, Brandon said he was 10 minutes up the road. Then he said he was in the field. Then, silence. Somewhere in that huge stretch of land, he vanished completely. By sunrise, the area was swarming with search teams. Helicopters, ground crews, tracking dogs, local volunteers, state authorities. Not a single physical clue was ever found, not even a footprint in the dirt. Weeks turned to months, months to years, and the mystery of what chased Brandon Lawson into the Texas darkness has only grown. Was he injured and disoriented? Was someone really after him, as he claimed in the 911 call? Or did the isolation of the night play tricks on his senses? The terrifying truth is that we don't know. His last moments, his real voice captured forever, are filled with fear so raw that it sends chills down anyone who listens. And since that night, in 2013, there have been no credible sightings. No remains, no answers. Just a man's desperate voice on a phone call, and a truck left abandoned on a lonely Texas road. Real horror doesn't always come with monsters. Sometimes it's a mystery carved into reality, a voice crying out from the dark, and the silence that follows. The disappearance of Brandon Lawson is one of those horrors. A story with no ending and no comfort, only questions.